We're going to work out shoulders and arms, and there are so many options for what we can do with our arms because they are meant to move in many different directions and many different ways and have many, many different functions, from our hand up to our shoulder joint into our shoulder girdle. But we're just going to do some basics here. I do have a few props. I've got my yoga block. I've got a circular band here. If you don't have a band, you could always play with a belt, something like that, or just imagine that you have a band. Or if you have a circle, a Pilates circle, magic circle, you could use this instead of a band. I'm going to use all of them because I have them. So whatever you have, get your props ready and I'll meet you on the mat. You're going to start laying on your side. If you need any extra head support, by all means do that. I have a video that has this much slower. We're just going to flow through it because anytime you think about moving your arms and your shoulders, it's going to affect your ribs and your neck and eventually also your lower back. So I find it's very important to make sure we do a little bit of a mobility, whether that's with massage balls or just general breath and movement. You need to get it moving before you practice the structure and strengthening. So I'm going to lay on my side. If you need some head support, you could use that, or you could use your bottom arm. I'm going to just be kind of crooked here. I'm going to stack my arms. If you have shoulder joint issues, like it seems to be a little like clicky or catches, you can always bend your elbow and take your fingertips to your shoulders and just lead with your elbow. And we are going to do some pinwheel arms. So we're going to reach the arm forward or the elbow forward. You're going to stretch your arm overhead like you're drawing a big giant arc overhead. You're going to allow your ribs to rotate, unless for whatever reason you don't need to do that. And you're going to bring your arm around behind you, down to your hip and forward. We're going to do 3 in one direction. Breathing as you do this. I'm really allowing my scapula, my shoulder blade to upwardly rotate and then slide back and around. So the more detailed version of this is to really get nuanced and aware of what your shoulder blade's doing on your rib cage. We're just going to trust that we're moving, and by moving, we're getting everything lubricated. You're going to go the other direction. You're going to circle down and back and overhead. I love a good inhale as I go overhead because that reach of my arms helps lift my ribs, and then exhale as I go down. And 2 more. And around, and last one. Remember to breathe with whatever breath pattern feels natural to you. Like I said, I like an inhale as I go overhead and an exhale as I go down, but that's just me. And then before you do the whole other side, I want you to roll to your back. I want you to have your knees bent. I want you to reach your arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing each other. You're going to reach your arms towards the floor above your head, leading with your thumbs. You do not have to touch the ground, but I want you to notice, what does it feel like on the side you just circled versus the side you didn't? Is one side, like one arm, closer to the floor than the other? Is one rib cage closer to the floor than the other? And then you're going to hold your arms there as you press into your feet and bridge up. Make sure you're not taking weight into your neck. And then you're going to slowly keep those arms where they are as you roll all the way down, getting a little bit of spinal articulation. Bring the arms back up towards the ceiling, and then all the way down to the ground. And you're going to do the other side. So I'm going to roll over to the other side. Head patting if you need it, knees bent. I'm going to stack my hands out in front of me, and I'm going to circle that arm forward, overhead, back, and down. I am allowing my ribs to roll on the floor, so I'm not trying to keep my rib cage and pelvis stacked or squared. I'm letting my ribs move with this. And if you noticed in that arm reach and bridging, you might have observed that one arm could move a little closer to the floor than the other, or you might have felt that your rib cage of the side that you've moved is heavier on the mat. 3 one way, and then you're going to breathe and go the other way. So you're going to go back and overhead. And the sides a little bit tighter. And then once you've done your 3 in that direction, you're going to roll back over onto your back. If you've got a block, a band, a circle, you're going to take it in between your hands. If you've got a circle, a band, if you're working with a little looped band, you could put your hands through it and push out. But you're going to just take the hands on either side of what you've got, and you're going to reach the arms overhead, seeing if those ribs can stay heavy as you stretch the arms overhead. Take a nice breath there. On your exhale, feel a little belly as you bridge up, reaching the knees out over the feet. Make sure your neck and throat are free. And then slowly roll down, holding your arms steady where they are as you articulate down. Bring the arms to the ceiling. And hopefully that got you a little bit of shift. Now you're going to roll over onto your hands and knees. Because as much as it's lovely to get that mobility work without any weight first, it's very important for us to practice this weight bearing on our shoulders. Hands underneath the shoulder joints, knees underneath the hip joints. And you're just going to start by thinking head, chest and ribs, and belly supported. And you're going to let your shoulder blades squeeze together on your back. So kind of squeezing together. As you do that, it feels like your chest and your head go down, and they do. But it's not because I let it hang, right? So I'm still integrating a support for my center, support for my spinal column as I move my scapula on my rib cage. You're going to push the mat away and wrap the shoulder blades around, and then squeeze the shoulder blades together. Press and wrap the shoulder blades around and squeeze together. Notice when you press and wrap around, do you tend to tuck the butt or send your chin forward and collapse your chest? I want the chest to stay broad and the tail to stay free. And you're going to do that for 2 more times. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Press and widen, wrapping around. And 1 more. So trying to get into your serratus, which gets your shoulder blade on your rib cage there. All right, then we're going to use your circle. If you don't have a circle, just try and be fastidious with your alignment here. You are going to bring your elbows onto the floor underneath your shoulders. So your first alignment priority would be elbows under the shoulder joint. And the second would be, if your body can do this, get the middle finger, middle of the wrist in line with the elbow. And you're going to squeeze the circle if you've got one. You're going to pull the belly up. Play with your head and face placement so that you can find the least amount of tension on your neck. And I immediately am shifting weight back to lighten the load, so to speak, but I don't want to do that. A little bit of a cheat. I'm going to press into my hands and lift my elbows up. Now, I'm not going all the way to straight. I'm going to go just a little bit down. Make sure my weight's still going forward. My belly is supported. My neck feels free. And then as I lower down, I'm keeping the squeeze and reaching the elbows down, 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 down. And we're going to do that again. Squeeze, just come up a little bit. Keep your squeeze, direct those elbows down. So it initiates, the elbow reaching down kind of wraps the shoulder blades around your ribs. A lot of belly support here. A lot of arms and shoulders. Check in for 2 little cheats that we like to do. The first one being that weight shifting back. So just come up. The second one is the elbows start to wing out, so squeeze that circle if you're working with a circle. If not, just make sure that your elbows are really hugging towards each other and they're coming underneath your shoulder joints. Belly. You've just got 2 more of these. Reach the elbows to lower you down. And 1 more. Check in with your head and neck. Make sure it's not taking too much tension. And reaching the elbows as you come down. From there, take your circle to the side. Maybe take a little child's pose if you need to, getting a nice stretch for the scapula. Take a deep breath. And then we're going to have a little bit of a setup here. So I'm going to use my block to hold my legs accountable. And I'm going to place it kind of high, closer to my pubic bone, and we're going to be kneeling. Now, any of this work that we're doing, kneeling or on your hands and knees, I've got variations linked below that do it at the wall. This variation, I don't have a video for it, but just do it standing if you can't be on your knees for that long. So the first thing you do, you can take your circle between your hands, or if you've got a little loop, we're gonna take our hands through it, like that. So it's around, you know, wrist, forearm, somewhere like that. All right, I'm gonna push out against the band, elbows straightish, not too locked, not too bent, just somewhere in the middle, reaching through my fingers. And I'm gonna go down with my kneeling. I'm gonna squeeze my blocks, squeeze my glutes, belly is engaged, come up. So I'm really making sure that I'm not dumping into my back. Because remember that rib cage placement, if I go here or here, my head and my ribs connect in with that shoulder girdle. So I need to be mindful of the whole thing. Then here we are. You're gonna keep a little pressure out against your band or your circle, and you're gonna reach up, making sure you're not leaning back, right? Pull the belly in, squeeze whatever you've got between your legs, and come down. Then we're gonna add little pulses. So you're gonna pulse, pulse, like a little bounce against the band. And you're gonna go up, 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 and down, 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 down. Up, 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 and down, 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 down. 3. We're gonna do 5 passes bouncing here. Belly pulling in and up, glutes firing. And your arms get kind of tired after a while. And last one. So if you've got the circle and you've got your arms through the circle, you might just hold your arms and reach up and down. All right. Just a little wake up. My deltoids are awake now, and you're gonna come to sitting with your legs tucked to one side and your forearm on the ground again. So we're making sure that we're kind of getting all these different directions of our arms and our shoulder girdle. You're gonna look down and make sure your elbow is slightly in front of your shoulder, that your whole forearm can push down. I like to make a fist, so I think from the pinky edge of my fist down to my elbow is down. And what I'm gonna do is let myself elevate my shoulder. So kind of slump down, let your collarbone, let your shoulder lift, and breathe. Let your ribs on that bottom side get a little stretch, a little yawn. And then you're gonna push down through your whole forearm, and then pull, like you're pulling your arm underneath you towards your hip. Lift your waist up, so obliques integrating with this, and then push down both through your forearm and your bottom leg. Lift your waist and come up. So you don't want to be slumped here. You're gonna lift up out of that shoulder, your trunk lifting, lifting, lifting towards the ceiling as you push the ground away. And then if you add that little pull of the arm towards your hip, you are going to feel the back line of your shoulder a little bit more. If your neck has trouble here, you can tuck your chin slightly and look towards your bottom arm, and usually that feels okay. Breathing there, because this is just stamina. Keep lifting. Push, 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 and then come all the way down. Take a breath there. We're going to do that again. Press through the whole forearm. Pull that arm towards your hips. Lift the hips up. Belly pulling in. Just feeling that connection. Belly lifting the ribs. And then coming down. And we're going to swing the legs around and do the other side. Again, you've got a video down below if you need to practice this at the wall, where you can practice doing a little side push-up and things like that against the wall to build the integration of your shoulder onto your rib cage. You're gonna push down through the whole forearm, pinky finger to elbow, pull that arm towards your hips, press down to go up. Belly's pulling in, hips are active, arm is active. Pulling that arm underneath you, lifting, lifting, lifting. You can take your top arm up by your side. Sometimes we need a little support on the floor. If you need neck support, you tuck your chin and look to the bottom arm. And then you just breathe and hold. And then you come down and you do your slump. We forgot to do that on this side. So just take a moment and let yourself come all the way down. Breathe. My shoulders elevated. Trying to get, sometimes they get stuck kind of down on our rib cage. Sometimes they get stuck towards our skull and our ears. Sometimes they get stuck down onto our rib cage. So it's nice to be able to move them in all these directions. And then you're going to adjust and you're going to press down, shoulder a little bit back of the elbow, pull the arm towards your hips, lift the hips up, lift the waist up, pulling the belly back. Check in with that bottom shoulder. Push the whole forearm down as much as you can. And breathe there. And then come all the way down. And if you've got a block, you're going to find it. And we're gonna come onto your hands and knees. And this time you're gonna walk the knees back a little bit and you're gonna walk your hands forward a little bit. And you're gonna practice pulling forward into a kneeling plank position using those hamstrings and glutes. Think about your kneeling work from a moment ago. I'm taking my hands the width of my shoulders, maybe a teeny bit wider than my shoulders. You can do a more tricep push-up, but because we did the circle hug push-up before on our forearms, we're gonna let the elbows be a little bit wider on this one unless you know that you need to be narrower. Hugging my arms to center, hugging my thighs to center, lifting my belly, my ribs, my chest, my head. So I don't wanna drop my chin and head down as I do this. I wanna stay lifted. You're gonna bend your elbows, lowering down, and then straighten to come up. One push-up, we're just doing 5. Now say you're like, I don't even feel like I can do this. My butt goes up, I lose all that connection. So do what you can do. Maybe shift the weight back and just practice going down and up with the butt kind of back until you can bring more body weight into those arms. Try it at the wall. Maybe for your body, you're like, I went down 1 inch, I kept everything, and then I just straightened. That's fine too. You've got 2 more. So you have options to still build strength while you're doing this. All right, then you're going to take your band through your band or your circle around the outsides of your arms. You could also do this with a circle in between the upper arms. I'm going to continue to use my block in between my legs, and I'm going to have my hands shoulder width. I'm going to bring my shoulders over my hands and tuck my toes, but my knees are a little bit back from my hips, so they're not right underneath my hips. And I'm going to think collarbones wide, arms pushing against the band, belly, ribs and chest, and head lifted. Tuck my toes and reach my heels back for plank. Now, did I immediately sink? Right, if that's the case, start practicing this just kneeling. Or even better, practice at the wall, pushing the wall away, right? So if you immediately feel like your chest and head sink or your butt sinks, you need to just practice the whole integration. I'm gonna hold here and breathe. Hugging my block, reaching my heels and my pubic bone back as I squeeze a little glutes, belly pulling in and up, breathing into my ribs, pressing against the band and pushing the floor away. One more breath there. And then bring the knees down, shift back, toss the circle to the side and the band and the block, and then slowly come up. If you can't kneel, you can sit. And all we're gonna do is a quick little side stretch, because I know sometimes we get that really, because our arms can move so much, sometimes when we get them reined in and really contained, it feels a little itchy in our bodies. So you're gonna just reach one arm up. You're just gonna stretch overhead. Let those ribs move. Maybe you want to play with moving your arm a little forward and back, what feels good in your body. Come center, just do the other side. Again, you could do this seated or standing. You do not have to do this kneeling on your knees, especially if your knees are sensitive or if you have meniscus issues. That deep knee bend does not always feel great. And then come center, take a moment, reach your arms back behind you, just taking a stretch. So I'm reaching like I'm reaching behind. My shoulder blades are drawing together. If you want to, you can even reach your arms back and down behind you, squeezing your scapula. Belly still contained, so I'm not overly extending my back. I'm doing this for my shoulder blades. My fingertips are reaching down. Maybe you clasp the hands if your shoulders have that mobility. Take a deep breath and then release, and that's it. There are so many things we could choose to do for the shoulders and the arms. This is just a tiny, tiny amount of what you can tackle. It's pretty contained. It's a balance of getting our mobility in with a little containing and strengthening in that container. So hopefully this gives you a nice balance. Again, if any of this feels too difficult, you could do, things without the props. You could do them standing. You can do them at the wall. And I'll link some videos that give you some options to kind of peel it back. All right, until next time, keep moving.